Ladies, have you ever felt like someone didn't appreciate you until you were gone? You gave your heart, your time, and your energy only to be taken for granted. But here's the truth. When a man loses a woman of value, he feels it. And sometimes that regret hits harder than he ever expected. Today, we're talking about 4 powerful signs he regrets losing you, not because we need his validation, but because you need to recognize your worth. You were never the problem. His inability to see your value was. So if you've ever wondered whether he realizes what he lost, stay with me, because by the end of this, you won't just see the signs, you'll know that walking away was the best thing you ever did. When a man realizes he has lost someone truly valuable, one of the first things he does is try to reconnect. This isn't always immediate. Sometimes it takes weeks, months, or even years for him to come to terms with what he had and lost. Regret can be a slow burning emotion, one that grows stronger as he starts to feel the emptiness left behind by your absence. At first, he may try to ignore it, distracting himself with work, hobbies, or even other relationships, but over time he begins to feel that something is missing, and that's when he starts looking back. He might begin by testing the water subtly, perhaps by liking an old photo of yours, commenting on something insignificant, or even sending a casual message like, "Hey, how have you been?" On the surface, it may seem like a friendly check-in, but underneath, it's a sign that he's searching for a way back in. He might tell himself that he's just being polite or curious, but deep down, he knows he's hoping for a response. The weight of regret often makes people act in ways they never expected. He remembers the moments when you were always there, answering his calls, supporting him through tough times, and making him feel secure. Now, with you gone, he realizes that not everyone will offer him the same love and patience you did. As he starts to process his emotions, he may replay certain memories in his mind, moments when he was too distracted to appreciate you, times when he dismissed your feelings, or situations where he took your love for granted. These reflections fuel his desire to reconnect. He may find himself scrolling through old messages, rereading conversations, and realizing just how much effort you put into the relationship. Regret makes him see all the missed opportunities, all the times he could have been kinder, more attentive, and more present. This realization pushes him to reach out, even if it's in the smallest way. His approach might depend on his personality. Some men will be direct, admitting their mistakes and expressing their regrets openly. They may send long messages apologizing for how they treated you, hoping that you'll see their sincerity. Others might be more hesitant, dropping hints or finding excuses to talk to you without revealing their true feelings. He might ask about a mutual friend, pretend to need help with something, or even use nostalgia as a way to spark a conversation. He might say something like, "I was just thinking about that road trip we took. That was one of the best times of my life." It's his way of reminding you of the good moments, hoping that you engage with him and maybe even start reminiscing too. In some cases, he may go beyond messages and start making real efforts to be part of your life again. He may show up at places he knows you'll be, hoping for a coincidental meeting. He may start engaging more with your social media, reacting to your posts, or even bringing up inside jokes you shared in the past. These actions may seem small, but they are significant because they show that he's not ready to completely let go. His regret is driving him to find a way back into your world, even if he doesn't know how to do it smoothly. Sometimes his attempts to reconnect come with a change in his attitude. If he was once emotionally unavailable, he may now seem more open and willing to communicate. He might express thoughts and emotions he never shared before, trying to show you that he has grown. If he took you for granted in the past by not prioritizing you, he may now suddenly make an effort to show that he values your time. He may even try to support you in ways he never did before, checking in on you, encouraging your goals, or complimenting you in ways he once neglected. Another major sign is when he starts bringing up the past relationship in conversation. Instead of just casual talk, he may reference things he misses about you, acknowledging the things you did that he didn't appreciate before. He might say things like, "I didn't realize at the time how much you supported me," or "You were always there for me and I didn't give you the credit you deserved." These statements are clear indicators that he has been reflecting on his actions and regrets losing what he once had. One of the strongest signals of regret is when he outright admits that he made a mistake in letting you go. Some men will dance around the topic, hoping you'll read between the lines, but others will come right out and say it. They may tell you directly that they regret not treating you better, that they realize now how much they hurt you, and that they wish they could turn back time. This level of honesty doesn't come easily, and when it does, it's often fueled by the deep realization that they lost someone irreplaceable. At this stage, he may also try to correct his past mistakes through actions rather than words. If he was once careless with your feelings, he may now go out of his way to be more considerate. If he never listened to your concerns before, he may now be all ears, genuinely wanting to understand what went wrong. His regret is pushing him to prove that he is capable of change, that he isn't the same person who once took you for granted. Some men, however, will struggle with how to express their regret, leading them to act out in unusual ways. They may become overly nostalgic, bringing up memories of the relationship frequently. They may even try to provoke a reaction from you, perhaps by posting cryptic messages online or indirectly mentioning their regrets through song lyrics, quotes, or vague posts. These are subtle ways of reaching out, hoping that you'll notice and respond. There are also cases where he might suddenly become more interested in your life than he was before. He may ask mutual friends about you, wanting to know if you've moved on. He might check in on you through social media, watching your stories or engaging with your posts more than usual. These actions stem from his curiosity, but also from his longing to know if there's still a place for him in your life. The thought of you moving on without him, thriving and happy, can be a tough pill to swallow. His regret may also manifest in unexpected emotional reactions. If he sees you with someone new, he may react with jealousy or sadness, even if he tries to hide it. He may start comparing himself to the new person in your life, wondering if they treat you better than he did. In some cases, he may even try to compete for your attention, making an effort to show you that he has changed or that he still cares. For some men, regret leads to desperation. They may send emotional messages late at night, expressing thoughts they've kept bottled up for too long. They may try to rush back into your life without fully understanding what went wrong in the first place. These impulsive actions are driven by the fear of losing you forever. They regret taking you for granted, but they also fear that their realization has come too late. Regardless of how he chooses to reconnect, the common thread in all these behaviors is his realization that he lost someone special. He may not always admit it in clear words, but his actions will show it. The regret he feels is a heavy burden, one that lingers in his mind and pushes him to try and fix what he once broke. His attempts to reconnect are not just about nostalgia, they are about a deep understanding that he had something precious and he let it slip away. When a man realizes he took you for granted and lost you, one of the most powerful emotions he will experience is jealousy. At first, he may try to suppress it, convincing himself that he doesn't care or that he has moved on. But deep inside, regret starts to creep in. And as he watches you grow, evolve, and become happier without him, that regret turns into something stronger: jealousy. It doesn't always show up in obvious ways, but if you look closely, his actions will reveal the turmoil he is feeling. Jealousy isn't just about seeing you with someone new. It's about realizing that you are thriving without him, that your life hasn't fallen apart in his absence, and that you are becoming the person he failed to appreciate. This realization stings, especially when he starts to notice changes in you. your confidence, your happiness, your glow. He may have assumed that you would struggle without him, that you would spend your days missing him, waiting for him to return. But when he sees the opposite happening, it forces him to confront a painful truth. You never needed him as much as he thought. One of the first signs of his jealousy is his sudden interest in your life. He may start lurking on your social media, watching your stories, liking your posts, or even leaving small comments that seem innocent but are actually his way of staying connected. He might not have paid attention to your posts before, but now he notices every little thing. He sees your smiling pictures, your fun outings, your personal achievements, and it bothers him. He might not admit it outright, but deep down he wonders if you are truly happier without him. The thought that someone else might be making you smile the way he once did, or even better, eats away at him. If you've started to focus on self-improvement, such as working on your fitness, career, or personal goals, his jealousy may become even more intense. He sees the version of you that he failed to cherish, and it frustrates him. He may wonder if you are making these changes because of him, or if your growth means you are outgrowing him entirely. He realizes that you are becoming someone even more desirable, and that realization makes him regret not appreciating you when he had the chance. His jealousy might also show up in subtle ways when you interact with mutual friends. He may casually ask about you, trying to gauge how you're doing without making it obvious that he cares. He may try to downplay your success, making comments like, "I'm glad she's doing well, but I don't think she's really over me yet," as a way to convince himself that he still has a hold on you. He might even start comparing himself to others, wondering if someone new in your life is better than he was. This comparison fuels his insecurity, making him question whether he was ever truly enough for you. Another clear sign of his jealousy is when he starts acting differently around you. If you still have to see him occasionally, whether through work, social circles, or shared responsibilities, he may act distant, cold, or even passive-aggressive. This behavior isn't necessarily because he doesn't care. Rather, it's because he cares too much and doesn't know how to handle his emotions. He may try to act indifferent, but his actions betray him. He might suddenly become more competitive, trying to prove that he is doing just as well without you. He may post pictures showcasing his own happiness, trying to make it seem like he has moved on faster. But deep inside, he knows that none of it feels as fulfilling as it would have if you were still by his side. In some cases, jealousy can make him act out in more direct ways. He may start questioning you about your personal life, asking whether you're seeing someone new, even if he has no right to ask. He might bring up the past, trying to remind you of the connection you once had, as if to see if he still has a chance. He may even try to downplay your new relationships, saying things like, "I don't think he's right for you," or "I know you better than anyone else," as a way to assert his presence in your life. These are all signs that he is struggling with the idea of losing his place in your heart. Jealousy also has a way of pushing him to seek validation. He might try to get your attention by exaggerating his own happiness, acting as if his life is better than ever. He might start posting about new relationships, hinting that he has moved on, even if he hasn't. He wants you to notice him, to feel something when you see him with someone else, just as he feels when he sees you thriving. But deep inside, he knows that no matter how much he tries to distract himself, the regret of losing you lingers. If he still has feelings for you, jealousy may lead him to make impulsive decisions. He may try to re-enter your life in unexpected ways, showing up at events where he knows you'll be, texting you out of the blue, or even confessing his feelings in a moment of weakness. His emotions are conflicted. He doesn't want to admit that he regrets losing you, but his actions make it clear that he does. He wants to know if you still think about him, if there's still a place for him in your life. One of the biggest struggles he faces is realizing that he is no longer a priority to you. Before, he may have assumed that you would always be there, that no matter what he did, you would still care. But when he sees you moving forward, investing in yourself and building a life where he is no longer needed, it shakes him to his core. It forces him to recognize that he made a mistake by taking you for granted. And that realization is a tough one to accept. His jealousy isn't just about losing you to someone else. It's about losing the version of you that once loved him unconditionally. Remembers the way you used to look at him, the way you cared for him, and the way you made him feel special. Now seeing that love directed elsewhere, or even toward yourself, makes him feel a deep sense of regret. He wonders if he could ever earn that love back, if he could ever undo the mistakes he made. Even if he tries to act like he doesn't care, jealousy has a way of revealing the truth. His emotions betray him in the way he talks about you, the way he reacts to your success, and the way he seeks validation. He may try to convince himself that he has moved on, but the lingering regret tells a different story. The hardest part for him is knowing that he had something special, and now he has to watch from the sidelines as you become the best version of yourself without him. When a man realizes he has lost someone truly valuable, one of the most telling signs of his regret is when he openly admits his mistakes and acknowledges your worth. This isn't something that happens overnight. At first, he may try to suppress his feelings, convincing himself that he made the right decision or that things ended for a reason. But as time passes and as he sees you moving on and thriving without him, he begins to reflect. That reflection leads him to see all the ways he failed to appreciate you when he had the chance. Regret has a way of creeping up on people in unexpected moments. Maybe he's alone in a familiar place where the two of you once shared memories, and suddenly he's hit with the realization of how much you did for him. Maybe he watches a movie, hears a song, or even smells a familiar scent that reminds him of the times you spent together. These small triggers bring back memories, and instead of dismissing them, he starts to analyze what went wrong. Unlike before, when he might have blamed the situation or circumstances, he now looks inward. He starts to see his own flaws, the ways he failed to communicate, the moments when he was too stubborn or distant, and the times he didn't prioritize you when he should have. At first, he may struggle to process these emotions. Admitting mistakes is not easy, especially for someone who once believed they were in control of the situation. But the more he reflects, the clearer it becomes that he let go of something special. He remembers how you always stood by his side, how you supported him when he felt lost, how you believed in him even when he doubted himself. He recalls the little things, the way you laughed at his jokes, the way you noticed small details about him that no one else did, the way you made him feel important even when he didn't deserve it. These realizations weigh heavily on him because he knows he didn't reciprocate that same level of care and appreciation. As his regret deepens, he starts to recognize that the love you gave him wasn't ordinary. He may have assumed that finding someone like you again would be easy, but now he understands that true, unconditional love is rare. Maybe he has dated other people since you, hoping to fill the void, but no one else has made him feel the way you did. He starts to see that love isn't just about attraction or excitement. It's about consistency, effort, and emotional depth. And in realizing that, he acknowledges that he took all of those things for granted when he had them. At some point, his regret reaches a level where he feels the need to say something. This can manifest in different ways. Some men will directly reach out, offering a heartfelt apology and admitting their mistakes. They might say things like, "I realize now how much you did for me, and I'm sorry for not appreciating it." Others might be more hesitant, expressing their regret in more subtle ways. They may bring up the past in casual conversations, mentioning moments when you were there for them, as if testing the waters to see if you still care. His tone might also change when he talks about the relationship. If he once dismissed it or acted indifferent, he may now speak about it with a sense of nostalgia and remorse. He might tell mutual friends that he regrets how things ended, or that he wishes he had done things differently. He might even go as far as admitting that losing you was one of the biggest mistakes he ever made. This shift in perspective is a clear indication that he has spent time reflecting, and that he genuinely sees where he went wrong. For some men, admitting their mistakes also comes with an attempt to make amends. He may start showing up in your life in unexpected ways, offering support or kindness that he never showed before. He might check in on you, asking how you're doing, or try to show that he has changed. His regret pushes him to prove that he is not the same person who took you for granted. He wants you to see that he has grown, that he has learned from his mistakes, and that he now understands the value of what he lost. This process of acknowledgement doesn't just stem from missing you. It comes from realizing the impact you had on his life. He understands now that you were more than just a partner. You were someone who genuinely cared, someone who saw the best in him even when he didn't see it in himself. He begins to appreciate the love you gave him, not just in hindsight, but in a way that makes him wish he could turn back time and do things differently. Even if he doesn't verbalize his regret outright, his actions will often reveal it. He may go out of his way to be kind to you, offering gestures of support that he never did before. He may admit his mistakes in subtle ways, such as referencing past arguments and saying, "I should have handled that better," or "I realize now that I was being unfair." These small confessions are his way of acknowledging his faults without making it too obvious. Another major sign of his regret is when he starts giving you the credit you always deserve. If he once downplayed your role in his life, he may now openly admit that you were a significant influence. He may tell you, or even others, that you made him a better person, that you were always patient with him, and that he didn't see your worth until it was too late. This kind of admission is rare because it requires a level of humility that many people struggle with. It means he has not only recognized his mistakes, but also understands the depth of his loss. For some men, regret also comes with a sense of longing. He may start reminiscing about the good times, bringing up inside jokes or shared experiences. He might mention places you used to go together, music you both loved, or habits you had as a couple. This isn't just nostalgia, it's a reflection of his desire to relive those moments, even if he knows he can't. He understands now that those were some of the best times of his life, and he wishes he had appreciated them more when they were happening. Sometimes regret leads to a desire for redemption. He may try to become the person he should have been when he was with you. He might start working on himself, addressing the issues that caused the relationship to fail. He might become more emotionally aware, more communicative, or more responsible in his action. In doing so, he isn't just trying to impress you. He's trying to prove to himself that he can be better. The realization that he lost something valuable pushes him to grow, even if that growth comes too late. The weight of regret can be heavy, especially when he realizes that he can't undo the past. He knows now that he should have listened more, loved harder, and appreciated you fully. He understands that the effort he failed to put in back then is what ultimately led to the loss of something irreplaceable. His acknowledgement of this fact is a painful but necessary step in his journey of self-awareness. One of the strongest signs that he regrets losing you is when he makes genuine efforts to reconnect and rebuild the bond that was once broken. Regret isn't just about missing someone, it's about recognizing what was lost and feeling compelled to make amends. When a man realizes he made a mistake by taking you for granted, he won't just sit with that regret indefinitely. At some point, he will feel the urge to take action, whether through direct communication, subtle gestures, or efforts to improve himself in ways that might win back your attention. At first, his attempts to reconnect may not be obvious. He might start by checking in on you casually, sending a text that seems innocent on the surface, like, "Hey, just wanted to see how you're doing." It may not seem like much, but behind that message is often a mix of emotions: curiosity, regret, and a desire to know if there's still space for him in your life. He may be testing the waters, trying to gauge your response without making it too clear that he wants another chance. In some cases, he might reach out under the pretense of needing closure or wanting to clear the air about the past. He may say things like, "I've been thinking a lot about us, and I just want to talk." Or, "I regret how things ended, and I feel like I owe you an apology." While part of this might be an attempt to ease his own guilt, it also shows that he's still holding on to what you had. If he truly didn't care, he wouldn't feel the need to revisit the past or make amends. His efforts to reconnect might also show up in indirect ways. If he still follows you on social media, you may notice that he suddenly becomes more active in engaging with your posts. He might start liking old pictures, commenting on things he never acknowledged before, or even posting things that seem oddly specific, perhaps referencing an inside joke you once shared, or posting a song that holds meaning for both of you. These small actions may seem insignificant, but they are often his way of reminding you that he's still there, that he's still thinking about you. Another way he may try to re-enter your life is through mutual friends. He might casually ask about you, wanting to know how you're doing without directly reaching out. He may even try to place himself in situations where he knows you'll be, whether it's attending a social gathering you're likely to be at or showing up at places you used to frequent together. It's not always a coincidence. Sometimes it's his way of creating opportunities to see you again without making it too obvious that he's doing so intentionally. For some men, regret leads to genuine self-improvement. If he truly wants to make things right, he won't just reach out, he will also work on the things that caused the relationship to fall apart in the first place. He may start addressing the flaws that led to the breakup, whether it's improving his communication skills, becoming more emotionally available, or taking responsibility for the ways he hurt you. If he sees that his actions pushed you away, he will want to show you that he has changed, not just through words, but through real, tangible growth. In some cases, he might try to rekindle the connection by offering his support in ways he never did before. If you're going through a difficult time, he might suddenly show up offering help or encouragement. He might take an interest in your goals, asking about your career, passions, or dreams in a way he never did when you were together. This isn't just about wanting to be in your life, it's about proving that he values you in ways he failed to before. His attempts to reconnect may also come with a newfound sense of vulnerability. If he was once emotionally guarded, he may now express his feelings in ways that surprise you. He might admit that he misses you, that he thinks about you often, or even that he still has feelings for you. He may confess that he didn't realize what he had until it was gone, and now he wishes he had done things differently. This level of honesty is not easy for many people, especially for someone who once took you for granted. It means that his regret has reached a point where he can no longer keep it inside, and he feels the need to let you know exactly what you meant to him. Sometimes his efforts to reconnect may not be as direct as an apology or confession. Instead, he may try to subtly reintegrate himself into your life, hoping that things will naturally fall back into place. He might start reminiscing about old memories, bringing up the good times as if trying to remind you of the bond you once shared. He may say things like, "Remember when we used to do this?" Or, "I was just thinking about that time we," as a way to reignite the emotional connection. He wants you to remember the love that once existed, to see that those moments still mean something to him. In some situations, his attempts to reconnect might involve acts of service or grand gestures. He may try to fix something he once neglected, whether it's a broken promise, an unresolved argument, or simply a lack of effort he once displayed. If he never made an effort to plan dates, he may suddenly start suggesting things you could do together. If he wasn't supportive of your ambitions before, he may now take a genuine interest in your goals. These gestures aren't just about winning you back. They are about proving to himself and to you that he has changed. Regret can also manifest in his protectiveness. Even if you're no longer together, he may still feel a sense of responsibility for you. If he hears that someone has treated you poorly, he may get defensive. If he sees you struggling, he may want to step in and help, even if he has no real place in your life anymore. This protective instinct often comes from a deep sense of regret. He knows he should have been the one to protect you and support you when he had the chance, and now is trying to make up for lost time. One of the biggest indicators that his regret is real is consistency. A man who truly regrets losing you will not just show up once and then disappear again. He won't just send one text, make one grand gesture, or say one heartfelt apology and then move on. Instead, he will consistently show through his actions that he values you and wants to make things right. He will make an effort to prove that he has changed. Not just for the moment, but in a way that lasts. When he truly regrets losing you, his efforts to reconnect will not be driven by selfishness. He won't just be trying to ease his guilt or fill a void in his life. Instead, he will genuinely want to show you that he sees your worth now, even if he failed to see it before. His regret will push him to act, to make things right, and to show you in every way possible that he understands what he lost.